my name is Sasha.
Welcome to my first year on T.
Thank you so much.
That was easy. Do you want to take a picture?
It happened, guys. I met Chase Ross. I saw him last Sunday. He was doing a meetup in Paris and it was amazing. He's so sweet and he's even more handsome in real life. For 30 or 45 minutes he talked about his life, his experience, and his YouTube channel and everything he does basically. And then we all got to meet him and take a picture with him. And he was incredibly nice, really. He seemed super exhausted because he had just arrived in Paris in the morning, so that's understandable. But he stayed until the end to meet everyone and I love him so much. And I'm really happy that he agreed to say something for the channel. So now we have Chase Ross on the channel. How cool is that? So yeah, if any of you viewers or even any of you guys on the channel have an opportunity to meet him, you should definitely go and see him. It's his first time in Europe, but I know he's often traveling around the US and Canada, so maybe you'll get the chance to meet him too. I really hope so. Now, on to this week's topic. We're talking about when we figured out we were trans, how, and if we accepted it immediately, and what our reaction was, basically. Once upon a time, there was a website called Tumblr. I actually don't know if many people have a Tumblr account, but you probably at least know the name Tumblr. Basically, it's a sort of social media, except everybody has a blog and you can reblog posts to share it with everybody, and so you can follow blogs and people can follow you, etc. I got my Tumblr account when I was 12 or 13, I think, because I wanted to be in the fandom part of Tumblr. And I followed tons of Harry Potter and Doctor Who blogs and it was amazing. And the other cool thing is Tumblr has a pretty big LGBT community and the Harry Potter and Doctor Who etc. communities are pretty open-minded, unlike the author J.K. Rowling. So on my dashboard, apart from usual fandom posts and gifs and everything, I often saw posts written by queer people or by allies about LGBTQ things. So even if Tumblr has its flaws like any website, I really can't thank it enough for opening my mind and helping me become the person I am today. So when I was 13 years old, I became aware of important social issues and social justice things, and I was like, yay, I'm an LGBT ally, definitely, I support gay people, trans people, everything in between. We've pretty much all started like that, haven't we? And then a few months later, I was still 13, I realized I liked girls, so I was not simply an ally anymore, I was also gay myself. Sorry if the frame moved a little, there was no space left in my memory card, so I had to delete tons of old videos. Basically the same thing happened with me realizing I was trans. First I was an ally for trans rights, and then I realized I was trans myself. To give you a little context, like Elliot, I didn't know when I was 4 or 5 years old that I wasn't a girl. That wasn't something that I really realized until I was a teenager. What I did know is that I was never really a feminine girl. I stopped wearing dresses when I was 11, I think, because I didn't like them and it just wasn't me. I never wore makeup either. I never wore perfume, even though my grandparents gave me perfume for my birthday a couple times. I never really wore any jewelry. I didn't paint my nails. So even when I didn't know I was trans, and back when I had long hair, I was still pretty masculine. Me realizing I was trans was a process, it didn't happen like overnight. When I was 15, I started questioning my identity because, as I said, I wasn't feminine, and even though all of my friends were girls, I didn't really relate to them, if that makes sense. At the time I thought it was because I was gay and so we didn't have the same center of interest. They had crushes on boys and I had secret crushes on straight girls. And then dysphoria arrived. I mean, I didn't know that's what it was called at the time, but now that I look back, it definitely was dysphoria. I started wanting to cut my hair. I didn't feel comfortable with my chest and with my whole body, basically. I never felt comfortable with my chest, actually, even when I was 11 or 12. I hated going swimming because I didn't want to wear a bikini and everything. But anyways, I slowly realized I wasn't a girl, and the internet helped me figure that out. As you know, I'm non-binary trans masculine, but my process was that first I thought I was a girl, then I thought I was non-binary on the girl side, then non-binary in the middle, and then non-binary trans-masculine like I am now. And it's funny because I had my pronouns in my Tumblr bio, like any good ally, and they went from she, her to she, they to they, she to they, them to now they, he. So yeah, as I said, the internet helped me because representation is super important. And when I was 15, I started watching the web series Carmilla. It's super gay and cool, and among other things, it's basically a love story between a lesbian vampire and a lesbian college student who are roommates.
Oh my god, they were roommates.
And the show has a non-binary character called La Fontaine, played by Caitlin Alexander, who is also a YouTuber. And watching their videos about what non-binary was really helped me. And around the same time, when I was 15, Bertie Gilbert, who's a British YouTuber and filmmaker, made a short film called Blue Sushi. It's about a trans guy who's a singer in a band. He's like 16 or 17, and he comes out to his friends and his manager, and yeah, it's really good. I mean, I haven't watched it in a while, but I don't think there's anything problematic with it. And the actor playing the main character is non-binary as well. It's around that time that I started using they, them pronouns, but that was in English. And French is shitty and made everything more complicated, because in French you don't really have official gender neutral pronoun. You have il or elle, and there's nothing in between. And I really think language isn't just language, it really influences the way we see the world and the way we live. If there had been gender neutral pronouns in French, maybe I would have accepted myself sooner, I would have come out to everybody sooner, but gender neutral pronouns didn't exist, so I had to pick a side basically. And for almost 2 years after I realized I was non-binary, I thought I was more on the girl side of the spectrum, so I still use female pronouns in French. I didn't really have any trouble accepting myself because I knew that was who I am and I couldn't change that. The thing I had trouble accepting was my future. I remember thinking when I was 16, okay, I'm non-binary, but I don't need to tell my parents because it's gonna have no impact on my life whatsoever. I can't change my pronouns in French because I don't want to use masculine pronouns, so I'm just gonna keep it a secret and maybe tell it to my friends, but it's not gonna change anything. But as time passed, my dysphoria got worse and worse, and slowly I realized I was more on the trans-masculine side, and I decided that using male pronouns in French would make me feel less dysphoric than female pronouns, even if it wasn't completely me. And for a while I didn't want to go on T either, but then I realized that I really needed it because I had too much dysphoria, voice dysphoria, body dysphoria, everything. And you basically know the rest of the story because it's what I talk about in my coming out video, which is the first one I made for this channel. So yeah, figuring out my gender identity was kind of a wild ride, but it all turned out fine, and I'm proud of who I am today and everything I have achieved. Well, I think that's all I had to say. Have a nice week. See you next Friday.